In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, amen. We're happy to see everyone here today. We have Dr. Christine with us. We hope that you guys pay attention, and then later on we're going to have a chance to ask questions as well. So let's pray for this spiritual day for the children, and let's get started.
Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you, Abuna, so much for that introduction. I think we're having 2 presentations today with some questions and discussion in the middle. Do we need Arabic or English? English is easier, but I can do Arabic if needed. Do we need Arabic or English? English? Okay, that's much easier. Okay, so I work a lot with families in my line of work. I work with families of kids of all ages, but I know we're kind of looking at more elementary school kids today. And in the first discussion, I want to review with you ways that we can have difficult conversations with our kids because challenging topics. Sure. Yeah, that's fine. Is that better? That's good, actually, because my voice is a little strained. So in working with families, and especially with everything that we have going on in the world, and also with the impact of phones and televisions and all the things that we have, it's really helpful to talk about how to, the entire day today is going to be about communication, right? So in this first part is how to master difficult conversations, difficult questions that may come up with your kids, because it will happen. We may think that it won't, but it will. And so how do we master those conversations? In the second talk, we will talk about how to do more emotional connections with our kids and also how to be more resilient. We good? They said English, I asked them. Okay, I think over here they said English. Mix? Yeah, okay, I can do mix, of course. No problem. So we're going to mix English and Arabic. All right, so let's understand how to have these conversations with our kids first. In order to have any conversation with our kids that is difficult to resolve, we have to go step by step. خطوة خطوة, okay? مش ندخل في الديب right away, مش ندخل في الديب very early, بس نمشي خطوة خطوة لغاية ما نعرف نحل الأسئلة الصعبة اللي ممكن يسألوها. فإحنا محتاجين إيه هدف من الأطفال بتاعتنا. What is the goals that we have from our children? Goals of responsibility, يبقى عندهم مسؤولية، يبقى عندهم حياة روحية كويسة, good spiritual life, يبقوا شاطرين في المدرسة وفي الكارير بتاعهم شغلهم في يوم من الأيام, يبقى عندهم علاقات كويسة, يبقى عندهم emotional health كويس, حاسين يعني الطبع بتاعهم كده هادي وكويس. وإن general يبقى عندهم well-being كويس. يبقى عندهم حياة ليها معنى ويبقى عندهم أخلاق وmorals وvalues. فدي كلها حاجات يعني that we look at and that are important to us in how to be يعني good parents and good adults that take care of kids. فطبعا this verse from Jeremiah إني even though we have goals طبعا الهدف بتاع ربنا إن يبقى عندنا hope رجاء ومستقبل. For this is the kind of things that we have to look at. قبل ما ندخل في الأسئلة الصعبة اللي ممكن يسألوها لازم نعرف الأولاد بتاعتنا من كذا حتة. في السن الصغير لسه المخ is growing. بالذات في حتة في المخ اسمها frontal lobe دي بتقعد to grow لغاية سن 25 26 27 sometimes. والحتة دي في المخ دي الحتة اللي بتديهم the ability to think ويعملوا يعملوا decisions كويسة, يعملوا قرارات كويسة, اللي بيخليهم ينقوا أصحاب كويسين. فالحتة دي في المخ لسه بتنمو لغاية سن 25 26 27. فدي أول كل حاجة. والمخ فيه حتة من الطبع، فدي حاجة برضو لازم نعرفها. الناحية التانية برضو ازاي بيفكروا من الناحية السايكولوجي، يعني بيحلوا المشاكل بتاعتهم ازاي they cope، ازاي عندهم بيعملوا اصحاب. في ناس بتعمل اصحاب بسهولة، في ناس بتعمل اصحاب very difficult. في ناس عندها ظروف صعبة مع المدرسة أو ظروف صعبة مع العيلة، فكل الحاجات دي بتكون الشخص اللي قدامنا. في كذا حاجة بنشوفها ستريس في الأطفال وداخلين على التينيج years، يعني بالذات دلوقتي اللي شايفينه أصعب سن I think is middle school. Okay، يعني لسه لو عندكم في elementary school it's a little bit easier، والهاي سكول بيبتدوا mature شوية. الميدل سكول بيبقى سن صعب شوية، لسه يعني they're not again المخ لسه مش completely developed ومش عارفين يعملوا قرارات، مش mature. الأصحاب ممكن يكونوا نص نص، ففي common things بتحصل لهم بالذات في السن ده. روحهم المعنوية شكلها ايه، الايدنتي بتاعتي أنا مين، وفي كل حتة في حياتهم ممكن يكون identity different، يعني مدرسة بتقول لهم حاجة، كنيسة بتقول لهم حاجة تاني. ممكن في البيت بنقول لهم حاجة تالتة، وهم لسه بيعرفوا من نفسهم هم من مين. ممكن برضو يكون عندهم ضغط شوية من المدرسة، من الأكاديميكس، فكل الحاجات دي ممكن يجوا يسألوكم عليها. ممكن يكون عندهم bullying في المدرسة، ممكن يكون عندهم اكتئاب أو زعل. ممكن يبتدوا يشوفوا حاجات زي substance use في المدرسة، ممكن يجوا يسألوكم about that. بيعملوا programs في المدارس دلوقتي في الفifth grade about substance use، يعني كل ماله بيصغر في السن وفي الحاجات دي. وفي طبعا حاجات بيتعلموها في المدرسة ممكن يجوا يسألونا عليها. we have to know that as well، من ناحية العلاقات، من ناحية الفريندشيبس. ففي all kinds of أسئلة من الناحية دي. وبعدين أكتر حاجة طبعا إحنا عارفينها السايبر ادكشن، يعني على طول على التليفونات والتابلتس والحاجات دي. لازم نخلي عيننا على هم بيتفرجوا على إيه ويبصوا على إيه. أهم حاجة برضو قلناها قبل كده إن يبقى عندهم جذور وجناحات في نفس الوقت، الروتس and الوينجز. فلما بنتكلم معاهم بنحاول نخلي عندهم شوية روح معنوية كويسة عشان يعرفوا to explore on their own، بس في نفس الوقت عندهم جذور في الفاليوز بتاعت الكنيسة والفاليوز بتاعتنا، ومين الفاليوز بتاعت العيلة والحاجات دي. فدي طبعا حاجات يعني لازم نتعلمها، ولازم نقول لهم ازاي يبقى عندهم both الجذور والوينجز. فتعال نتكلم في ايه اللي بيخلي العيال عندهم happiness او joy، وبعدين هنتكلم في كل سن بسرعة بس كده. في كل سن، من السن الصغير اللي هو الاليمنتري، وبعدين الميدل سكول، وبعدين الهاي سكول، ايه نتوقع في السن ده. فأهم حاجة إن يخلي الأطفال happy مش حاجات كتيرة، مش مثلا بالحاجات الماتيريال، ممكن نديهم حاجات ماتيريال بس ده مش بيجيب الهابينس. الحاجات اللي بتجيب الهابينس إن القلب بتاعهم مفتوح وعارفين يتكلموا مع البيرنتس بتاعتهم في الحاجات الضغوط اللي هم بيحسوا بيها. وأهم حاجة نعرفها مش بس عشان صغيرين نقول ما عندهمش ضغوط، أوكي؟ دي أهم حاجة. الضغوط بتاعتهم different عن الضغط بتاعنا احنا الكبار. احنا عندنا bills ومورجج وبيت ويعني raising a family، بس هم برضو عندهم ضغوط اللي هي اللي وريتها لكم دي a few minutes ago، السلف استيم والبولينج والفونز والسايبر ادكشنز وكل الحاجات دي. فأهم حاجة يبقى عندهم كلام يعرفوا يعبروا عن المشاعر بتاعتهم، دي حاجة مهمة. ازاي يعبروا ويبقى عندهم a way to express الاموشنز بتاعتهم. والمشاعر دي جاية من فين؟ ففي السن الادolescent ده طبعا بيبقى فيه هرمونات بتتغير، المخ بيتغير، في حاجات كتيرة بتتغير في السن ده. هوريكم slide on this in a minute. والتغييرات دي بتسبب اكتئاب مرات وزعل مرات ونرفزة مرات وتغييرات كتيرة. برضو الأطفال بيحسوا مرات إن محدش فهمني ولا شايفني، أوكي؟ مش شايف إيه المشاكل بتاعتي، مش عارفة أعبر عن نفسي أو مش عارفة أعبر، أو محدش شايفني وفهمني. فلازم نعمل effort إن نشوف الشخص اللي قدامنا ده، نحاول نفهمه. وطبعا احنا كلنا بيزي وعندنا شغل وعندنا ضغوط برضو وعندنا كل حاجة، بس لازم نعمل وقت نفهم ايه اللي هم حاسين بيه. ولازم بعد ما نشوف اللي هم حاسين بيه يبقى عندنا empathy. empathy دي هنتكلم اكتر عليها في الكلمة التانية، emotional connection مع عيالنا. بس empathy معناها انا حاسس باللي هو حاسس بيه حتى لو انا مش مرة في الظروف دي، فاسمع هو بيقول ايه، افهم المشاعر بتاعته ايه، هو حاسس بايه. فدي الحاجات المهمة. لو عملت غلط او غلطت في الكلام معاه ممكن apologize. في parents كتيرة بتخاف apologize إن أنا أبان إن أنا أصغر أو أقل منه، فمش بعمل apology. apology بتعلمه إزاي أنا apologize لما بجرح حد والأول إزاي ما أجرحش حد من الأول، بس لو جرحت حد إزاي apologize وإزاي برضو أفهمه. المشكلة الكبيرة اللي بشوفها with families اللي بشتغل معهم، ده مش فاهم ده وده مش فاهم ده وده مش فاهم ده، وفي الآخر ما حدش بيكلم حد أو كله بيتخانق مع بعض. فلازم يعني يبقى في إني تفاهم إن أنا مش فاهمة أنت بتحاسس بإيه، طب فهمني أنت الظروف اللي ماشي فيها وهقعد أتكلم معاك لغاية ما أفهم. وده بياخد وقت، حتى لو ده my child أو my spouse أو my family member it takes time. بس الناس ما عندهاش وقت أو ما عندهاش patience، فعايزة تسرع الموضوع شوية and it doesn't work that way. فلازم we have to talk through the problem. Talk through the problem لغاية ما I understand what this problem is. Okay. هنتكلم بسرعة بس في ال stages of development. لما بدرس الكلاس ده في الجامعة، السلايد ده كله بياخد سمستر كامل، فهنقعد with maybe 2 or 3 minutes بس على السلايد ده. بس just know إن this slide ممكن بندرسه في an entire semester أو أكتر في الجامعة. So يعني هنمشي through it quickly. هنتكلم الأول من سن 0 ل 6 months، يعني لسه baby small age. okay. بنفتكر ده baby وبس، يعني بنأكله وبنشربه that's it. بس believe it or not حتى في السن الصغير ده they're learning إن مين أثق فيه ومين لأ، حتى من سن 0 ل 6 months. ليه؟ لأني أنا لما بعيط كبيبي حد هيجي وهيشيلني ويأكلني ويغير لي مثلا my clothes أو يضحك لي أو to hold me close. لو أنا قعدت أعيط ومحدش شد عليا I'm not gonna trust anybody حتى من السن الصغير ده. فما نقولش إني ما عندهمش believe it or not emotions حتى من السن الصغير. okay. من سن 6 months ل 18 شهر، 6 شهور ل 18 شهر يبتدي البيبي ده يحبي right، يمشي، ممكن يبتدي يمشي كمان وإكسبلور الحاجات اللي حواليه. لو كل حاجة قلت له فيها no أو زي يخاف يمسك كل حاجة، ده هيسبب ممكن مع الوقت شوية إني برضو I can't explore my environment، كل حاجة أخاف منها. that doesn't mean إني لو هيقع أو هيمسك مثلا البلج في الوال يبقى موقفوش، طبعا نوقفه. بس كل حاجة طبعا بهدوء وبشويش ونعلمه ليه، نقول له ده no this is يعني مثلا gonna hurt me مثلا. فحتى في السن الصغير ده he's learning to explore وفين limitations بتاعتي، فين ممكن أقف. بعد كده من 18 months ل3 سنين هيبتدي يروح البري سكول مثلا، especially towards 3 سنين هيبتدي يروح السكول. ففي السن ده يبتدي يفكر بنفسه I'm thinking for myself، وعندي حد تاني بياخد باله مني my teacher، عندي other people معايا في my class my peers my other students. فمين اللي ممكن أنا I pay attention to ده كويس they're safe، وحد تاني ممكن ما يكونش as safe أتكلم معه. من سن 3 to 6 years الموضوع ده بيكتر أكتر لأني هيتعامل مع الناس أكتر وأكتر لما يدخل kindergarten. وبعدين من 6 to 12 خلاص ابتدينا ندخل elementary school، وقت أكتر في المدرسة، في more rules، في homework. وبعدين I'm learning to do things by myself. I'm learning more independence. وبعدين من middle school لغاية ما خلاص يبقوا 18 بيتعلموا to practice to be an adult. فلازم أعلمهم adult things، أخدهم معايا البنك، أخدهم معايا البوسطة، أعلمهم يعملوا إيه في البيت boys and girls، إزاي يعملوا their laundry، إزاي يطبخوا، بالذات من سن 12 to 18 لأن خلاص بعد يوصلوا 18 they're gonna be adults، ممكن هيروحوا يعيشوا لوحدهم، And if you've taught them enough things, by then هيبقوا to trust you a lot. Okay, so again, the school age kids أهم حاجة إن نبني علاقة very strong معاهم، لأن أول ما يدخلوا المدرسة الانفلونس بتاعت الفريندز هتبقى أكتر والأب والأم هتقل شوية. It doesn't mean الأب والأم ما عندهمش influence، بس الانفلونس بتاعت الأب والأم in comparison to الأصحاب هتكتر قوي. So we have to build a strong relationship حتى من السن الصغير قوي، حتى زي ما بنقول من حتى سن 0 ل 6 months. لازم نعلمهم يعني who to trust and how to trust. How can we create a good foundation? على بال ما بيوصلوا التوينز بيبقى طبعا في حاجات ابتدوا أصحابهم أكتر بالنسبة لهم، بيبقوا very curious، بيبقوا very close لأصحابهم بالذات as they approach high school. وفي تغييرات بتحصل في الجسم، هرمونات بتتغير، المخ بيتغير، الemotional development بتتغير، بيبتدوا يحسوا بالcontradiction. يعني مثلا أقول لهم يجوا الكنيسة بس أنا مش بروح الكنيسة، هيحسوا طب ليه أنتوا مش بتروحوا الكنيسة يا ماما وبابا وعايزني أنا أروح الكنيسة؟ هيحسوا بالcontradictions دي أكتر بالذات في السن التينيج years. فعشان تparent correctly في السن ده stay very connected معاهم، بس في نفس الوقت كل شوية بنديهم more freedom مع more responsibility. لازم على طول نعلمهم الvalues بتاعتنا، ولازم نعلمهم self control من كل ناحية. طبعا الصيام هيبتدي يوم الاثنين، ف this is a good time to teach self control من كذا ناحية. فبقى في الهاي سكول ده السن اللي بيحصل فيه a lot of changes. بيوصلوا من يبتدوا بأطفال و at the end بيبقوا adults, almost adults. ف this is a big shift بيحصل في السن الثلاث 4 سنين دي. وطبعا في identity confusion بتحصل، أنا مين ومين الطريقة في، وفي research that backs this up. There's a lot of identity confusion. النهارده ممكن أحاول أبقى leader، بكرة ممكن أحاول أبقى an artist، بعده ممكن أحاول أحب الساينس. كل يوم بيبقى في تغيير، أنا بحب إيه وinterested في إيه. فده بيعمل confusion. فلازم يبقى عندنا إحنا as parents صبر إني with all of these changes that are occurring, how do I guide them في السن ده very importantly. في a lot of changes، في a lot of exploration. ممكن حتى يعملوا risky behavior أو even يمكن يبقوا a little bit disrespectful في السن ده because they want their independence. So this is something that you should pay attention to as well. بتحصل تغييرات كتيرة in this age. لما ازاي نعرف إن these people have kids are starting to have problems. بنشوف a few things that are examples of when they're starting to have problems. أول group of people they hold in their problems. يعني ما يتكلموش في اللي هم متضايقين منه ايه. زي ما قلنا مش عارفين يمكن هم متضايقين من ايه، مش عارفين يعبروا، مش عارفين to express themselves، أو خايفين to express themselves to be judged. And somebody's going to judge me, which is also not good. أو الناس هتقول لو أنا I explain this، أو مش عارفة أنا مش حاسس بإيه. For some people hold in their problems ويبطلوا يتكلموا. في ناس تانية they act out، يتنرفزوا، يزعلوا، يتضايقوا، يبقوا منفعلين قوي. That's another example إزاي there might be something wrong. Another example إن روحهم المعنوية تنزل. I'm not smart enough, so and so is smarter than me, so and so أحسن مني. ويقعدوا يبقى روحهم المعنوية مش very strong. وممكن برضو يكتر عندهم increased in sadness، يبقوا متضايقين وزعلانين وحاسين يعني زي depression أو anxiety. أهم حاجة نعملها as parents إن نعرف الشخصية بتاعت كل طفل، مش نحطهم كلهم as one example. نعرف إيه اللي strong في إيه وإيه ال weakness في إيه، إيه الحاجات اللي عاليين فيها والحاجات اللي عندهم ضعف شوية فيه، ونساعدهم في الحاجات دي. نuse ال strengths تساعد الحاجات ال weakness. That's really important as well. في نفس الوقت يبقى نحبهم no matter what. حتى لو زعلانين أو النهاردة طبعهم مش كويس، نحبهم بس نوجههم. That's also really really important. نحبهم بس برضو نوجههم. Another important thing البحث بيقول لنا إن لازم إحنا نبقى consistent. لأني بالذات في السن ده مع الهرمونز مع كل حاجة حاصلة it's up and down. يوم ممكن يكونوا كويسين يوم يكونوا ممكن صعبين شوية. فإحنا لازم نبقى consistent. لازم إحنا نبقى secure. لازم إحنا نبقى confident. نعلمهم about ال changes اللي حاصلة في مخهم أو في الجسم بتاعهم. نخليهم to explore بس again بجذور. ونعلمهم كذا حاجة إن يفكروا إزاي ويعملوا قرارات إزاي. أوكي. تعال نتكلم في البيرنتنج ستايلز بعدين هنتكلم إزاي نتكلم في الحاجات الصعبة اللي ممكن يسألوها. ففي كذا بيرنتنج ستايل. أول بيرنتنج ستايل إني ممكن واحد يبقى very passive يخلي كل حاجة تمشي smoothly ما وجهوش ما قولهوش الصح من الغلط ما فهمهوش خليه يعمل اللي يعمله. لو ده حصل الطفل ده مش هيبقى عنده boundaries ولا foundation يقول له ايه الصح من الغلط. فما ينفعش نبقى very flat. لازم نوجه ولازم نصلح ولازم يبقى في discipline ولازم كل الحاجات دي. ما ينفعش في نفس الوقت نبقى aggressive ناشفين قوي او نزعق او كل الحاجات دي. ما ينفعش برضو الحاجات دي as well. ما ينفعش to mock them أو to make many accusations أو نعمل threats كتيرة نهددهم كتير. ده برضو ما ينفعش. This is also wrong. في حاجة اسمها assertive ودي أحسن طريقة. أحسن طريقة assertive يعني ما نبقاش too basic وما نبقاش too rigid at the same time. فدي أحسن طريقة. نبص في الشارت دي و I think وريت لكم الشارت دي قبل كده. بس دي حاجة طبعا very very important إزاي نعلم الأطفال بتاعتنا. Across the top من فوق is a day rules بنديها لهم. ومن الناحية اللي فوق لتحت how much محبة و respect. ولازم أقول لكم إن ال respect الاحترام بيروح both ways. Okay بيروح both ways مش بس من الطفل to respect me بس أنا I have to respect الطفل as well. It's a two-way street. Okay فأهم واحدة هنديها لهم اللي هي الcolor yellow. Okay بس هتكلم في الثلاثة التانيين الأول. So أول واحدة that's not good اللي هي على اليمين من فوق. ما عندناش قوانين كتيرة rules بس عندنا محبة كتيرة جدا جدا جدا. Okay الطفل ده هيعرف إن أي حاجة هعملها it's okay ماما وبابا هيحبوني. I can crash the car. I can break something. I can talk back and be rude. It's okay. Mom and dad are going to be okay. دي طريقة مش صح. لأني I can't be rude في يوم من الأيام في الشغل. I can't drive on the highway 100 miles an hour. The police is going to stop me. There are rules. Okay? فما ينفعش إن يكبر in a way without rules. Alright? فدي أول طريقة completely غلط. تاني حاجة غلط اللي هي تحتها على طول. تحتها على طول دي اسمها neglectful يعني مش بهتم بيك خالص. مش بسأل about your school day. مش بعمل لك أكل وشرب. مش بقول لك أنت متضايق ليه النهاردة أو النهاردة فرحان ليه. There's no rules and there's no love. Okay? Also very 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 wrong. فدي برضو غلط لأني هيحس إن مفيش حد مهتم بيا. يبقى يعني مفيش حد هيهتم بيا برا either. لأن اللي هيتعلموه في البيت هيطلعوا to look for it برا. Alright اللي بعدها اللي تحت على الشمال authoritarian. ده بقى زي الديكتاتور. ايه الديكتاتور عايز لازم كل حاجة تمشي بطريقتي no matter what. انت ما عندكش رأي انت صغير انت ما تتكلمش انت ما لكش رأي. مش هيخلي عنده شخصية انه واثق من نفسه وعارف يتكلم وعارف يسأل أسئلة من ماما وبابا. ما عندوش ثقة لأن أنا خايفة أتكلم هتوقفوني على طول في كل حاجة أقولها. فدي طريقة غلط برضو. ما حدش عايز ديكتاتور معاه في البيت بتاعه. عايز حد في نتناقش ونتكلم to come up to a solution together. فالطريقة دي is all rules و no love. all rules و no love يعني طريقتي أو ما فيش طريقة تاني غير كده. ودي برضو مش طريقة صح. حتى لو هو صغير اسمع لرأيه. مش لازم تاخد رأيه وانت لسه كبير البيرنت بس اسمع لرأيه على الأقل. ممكن نتناقش مع بعض ونوصل لحل. فدي برضو غلط. الطريقة الوحيدة اللي صح والبحث حتى بيقول لنا دي الطريقة اللي صح اللي هي لونها yellow. اوكي دي معناها إن في rules كتيرة زي ما في العالم في rules كتيرة، بس في برضو محبة كتيرة. في محبة كتيرة، وفي المحبة الكتيرة بتعمل respect وبتعمل احترام، وإحنا بنتناقش مع بعض ونعرف نتكلم مع بعض. فالطريقة دي المحبة الكتيرة والrules الكتيرة بتخلي الطفل ده زي ما قلنا يعمل بحث ويعمل exploration ويعرف هو مين، في نفس الوقت يبقى very respectful مع الناس اللي حواليه. اوكي؟ لو بنينا كل الحاجات دي صح، لما تيجي الأسئلة الصعبة هنعرف نجاوب عليها، لأن بنينا علاقة قوية strong relationship. فمش هخاف لما هو يسألني سؤال صعب، أو هو مش هيخاف يجي يسألني سؤال صعب. ففي مرات هيبقى في difficult conversations. Okay? فبقيت this time now for the next 10 minutes or so هنتكلم في difficult conversations. بعد difficult conversations المرة الجاية the next talk هتبقى about an emotional communication. Okay? ففي مرات بالذات في الميدل سكول أو ممكن حتى من الفيفث جريد أو الفورث جريد بنبتدي نشوف أسئلة صعبة، لأن they have access to things ممكن في التليفون، وحتى لو إحنا قافلين التليفون منهم عندهم أصحاب في المدرسة تليفون مفتوح. Okay? So be careful. فما تخافوش لو جات أسئلة صعبة. It's okay. نبص فين هم التفاهم بتاعهم في الأسئلة الصعبة دي. أهم حاجة كparents يبقى عندنا الكواليتيز دي always، حتى لو مزعلانين، حتى لو متضايقين، حتى لو في حاجة منرفزانا. You're human too، بس take a break before you go and communicate with them لو انتوا حاسين انتوا مش كويسين yourself. And it's okay to not be okay yourself لأن you're human. That's normal. So بس in front of your kids try to be warm وgenuine، يعني مش fake، مش حد fake، حد that's genuine. Be empathetic، يعني أحس بالمشاعر اللي هو حاسس بيها. لما هو شاف الحاجة دي في المدرسة حس بكذا، أو أنا لو كنت في موقف بتاعه هحس بكذا، فأحس هو حاسس بإيه عشان أعرف أجاوب. في نفس الوقت لازم أبقى consistent، مش النهاردة أبقى warm و loving و supportive وبكرة أطنشه. That's not good. I can't ignore him one day و love him the next. I have to be consistent. وفي نفس الوقت لازم يبقى عندي صبر. الصبر ده حاجة مهمة جدا جدا جدا. Why؟ لأن كلنا بنكبر we're growing we're evolving، بس بالذات في السن ده المخ لسه is growing، الهرمونات بتعمل حاجات. فأهم حاجة نعملها في السن ده is to listen. لما we listen هم هيقولوا لنا اللي عايزين يقولوه، ولازم نوصل في النص في حاجة تفاهم. لو مش فاهمة هو بيقول إيه أسأل أسئلة تاني لغاية ما أفهم. دي أهم حاجة. الليكشر اللي جاي هنتكلم في المشاعر أكتر، بس أهم حاجة برضو نعرف إيه المشاعر بتاعتهم. المشاعر can be quite complex. أوكي؟ ممكن المشاعر تبقى شكلها زي كده very complicated، بس عشان نسهلها على الأقل نقول لهم how are you feeling؟ happy, angry, sad أو fearful. happy يعني في حاجة كويسة حاصلة في حياتي. أوكي؟ They're excited. طب قول لي إيه اللي حصل؟ What are you so excited about? Tell me. How can we increase the excitement? That's good. But it's not always have to be happy. مرات بيكون الواحد anxious، في حاجة مخوفاه. Okay? وطبعا الخوف in here from an emotional perspective is الواحد لازم to slow down and think. That's all it means. Okay? طبعا احنا we have no fear لأن معانا ربنا وكل حاجة، بس الخوف as an emotion ممكن تخلينا نركز شوية احنا لازم نعمل ايه. يعني to pause for a minute ونشوف احنا لازم نعمل ايه. Another thing إن sadness معناها إن في حاجة مش صح. برضو I have to pay attention، في حاجة مش مظبوطة. يعني I have to pay attention إني إيه اللي مش صح في حياتي اللي causing me to be sad. ممكن يكون علاقة مع أصحاب، ممكن يكون class صعب جدا. I shouldn't be taking a class this hard right now. ممكن next semester I take it بعد ما أتعلم حاجة الأول. بس what is making me sad? Pay attention للemotions, their data, their information. حتى الانجر، البايبل حتى بيقول لنا في الانجر be angry but do not sin. Usually معناها لما يكون في anger إن في حاجة unfair. في حاجة unfair is going on. برضو I have to pay attention to that. والمشاعر again can be much more complex اللي هي في الصورة دي. Much more complex. نبتدي بالemotions السهلة would branches out to the more difficult emotions. Okay, why do we need to know emotions حتى بالcomplexity دي? Because it builds a psychological immune system. لما I know my emotions, I know اللي بيجرحني, ممكن أحل المشكلة دي أو ممكن أبعد من المشكلة دي. But if I don't pay attention to my emotions أو خايفة من my emotions أو مش بركز في my emotions, it doesn't mean إن الemotion دي هتقعد بالسنين. الemotions زي الموجة بتروح مرات strong وترجع, مرات تمشي gentle وترجع, right? بس it's information. I have to pay attention to this information. زي أي pain بيجي in my body, right? If I have a headache, what does that mean? Maybe I didn't sleep good, النهاردة ما أكلتش enough food, so maybe I'm not going to feel good. بس حتى physical pain means something. What does it mean? For this builds the information and understanding yourself لما you pay attention to the emotions. Okay. في parents دايما بتسألني طب أنا I keep my kids away from everything لأن the world is dangerous and scary. There's a problem with this. What do you think is the problem? Anybody want to try to answer? If I keep them away from everything, I'm protecting them, right? What's the problem with this? There's no learning curve, right? We learn actually by making mistakes, unfortunately. Learning from the mistakes of others, okay? So it doesn't mean let them go towards danger. But it's okay if they make a mistake, talk about it, learn from it, grow, move on to the next thing, all right? But if I try to protect them from anything, has anybody ever seen this game before? This is a game they had at Chuck E. Cheese with kids when I was a kid, last year when I was a kid. I'm just kidding. So this is a game called Whack-A-Mole, okay? You take this hammer, and every time one of these little animals pops up, you hit it on the head, it goes down, another one pops up. That's the problem with the world. You take away the phone, a tablet will pop up. You take away the tablet, a computer will pop up. You take away the computer, the tablet, and the phone, the kids at school will pop up, right? There's always going to be something. So if I take all these devices away, it's better to talk about it and the limitations and the boundaries rather than to take everything away. Like you said, it's a learning curve. They're not going to learn anything, okay? So it's better to have an open and honest conversation at their age level. And you don't have to go to college age mentality when they're still in elementary school, okay? But if you try to take everything away, I promise you another thing is going to pop up. So it's more important to talk about your values at an age-appropriate limit, where the limitations are, where the boundaries are, and what your values are much, 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 much more important. So you can't raise kids in a bubble. That's the point of this. Try to be proactive, not reactive. Yani when they have certain conversations at school, usually they send you home, hopefully, they send home a permission slip. We're going to talk about this topic, or we're going to talk about drugs and alcohol, or we're going to talk about the human anatomy and all these things that they talk about it at home from your values. Also consider your child's personality, in maturity level بتاعتهم, their environment, what kind of school are they in? Are they going to talk more or less about a certain topic, right? But this is something to take into consideration. Consider their spirituality. Even maybe bring in an abuna that's your father of confession, an abuna that you trust, and say, I'm going to talk to my kids about this topic. Where's the church's perspective on this? How can I talk to them from the church's perspective? And there are resources. There are Christian resources to help you to have these conversations with your kids. Look at all perspectives. Masalan, madrasa is going to talk from a scientific perspective, okay? Or from an even political sometimes perspective. Consider that. What are they going to talk about versus what am I going to talk about, okay? Before you have this conversation, prepare, be proactive. Mish, when they come ask me a question, what do I do with this, right? Because that's what all the parents sometimes do. They get shocked. We don't want to be shocked. We want to be prepared. All right, so some of the difficult topics they're going to talk about: puberty, sexuality, relationships and divorce, natural disasters and war. I'm sure they're watching the news. There's at least a couple wars going on around the world. World news and politics. These are all difficult topics that they're going to talk about. So find out what they know and what their question is. You can base your response on their age-appropriate questions. Be very grounded in your values. Be very grounded in your values. Then the values that we have may be different than the world's values. Okay? Address it gently and in a safe place. And you can always come talk to me, even if the question is uncomfortable. I'd rather you get the answer from me than from somebody else. I always have to be a safe place. Even if you've made a mistake, I have to be a safe place so we can deal with it the right way. Okay? Provide the perspective of research and, of course, above all, the church's perspective. Mumkin min the church fathers from thousands of years ago, they had wisdom on some of these topics. How do we address this from a church perspective, from my values, from even research, medical research or something like that? What did you hear from your friends? Okay, mumkin it's not the same, mumkin it's the same as my values. What did you think when you heard this? You have a lot of insight into هم بيحسوا بإيه just by listening to what they heard and what they believe about what they heard. And even when they're young, they have an opinion. So listen to their opinion and then act, again, not shocked. Act with maturity and with understanding, and then you can respond to these questions. And so again, إحنا how we are different عن مثلا المدرسة أو your friends أو whatever. Again, they're not in a bubble. Even if you try to give them Coptic friends, that's good. They're still going to encounter other people some point in their life. في الشغل, في المدرسة, at college, somewhere they're going to encounter somebody with a different view. فأهم حاجة, rather than do that whack-a-mole game, right, is to put in values, put in roots. Then they're going to encounter other people. Okay? All right. So these difficult conversations, yani you're going to have them. Identify what your values are and why you believe what you believe. Okay? Why do I believe this? Yani طبعا the church believes this, or my family believes this, but why do I believe this? Why do I think this is the right way to believe? Okay? Again, plan the conversation before it happens. If you are prepared, لما الconversation هتيجي, you will not be afraid. All right? God is with you. You don't have to fix every problem, and not every problem has to be fixed like this. God is working on us little by little. So my job is to encourage, to guide. If you fall, I will help you stand back up. God makes the seeds grow. So you plant the seeds, God's going to help you make it grow. And lean on your village, like I said. Ask a pediatrician, ask a buna, ask medical advice, ask other people that can help you. You're not by yourself. Okay, that's really, really important. And finally, I would say manage cyber addictions. All right? It used to be that we would have the TV in the main room of the house. Or sometimes the computer was in the main room in the house. So everybody walking by would see what was being said and seen. Now, the TV and the computer and everything we need is in the little phone, and the phone goes with them to their room, and it's private, they don't see anything. So have a conversation about the phones, especially when they're young, if they don't have a phone yet. قبل ما نجيب التليفون, here are the rules. Okay, I can monitor your use anytime. I'm going to monitor it with you. We're going to have a conversation, because we used to sit with, at least I did, I used to sit with my parents and watch TV and talk about what we were watching, right? And TV was very different when I was a kid than things are now. So watch together and discuss as much as you can. Do not use the phone as a pacifier or as a babysitter. This is when we get into trouble, okay? Signs of cyber addiction, they're obsessed with mumkin technology. They can't let go of it. It's just like any other addiction. They lose track of time. For a lot of time, we put limits on the phone. Okay, and you can only use it up until مثلا 9 p.m. or something, and then it automatically shuts off. They have settings that you can do in your phone. They could be lying about how much use. لا مش بستعمله كتير, أنا مش whatever. They could be starting to lie about that. They could be bored without the phone. Boredom is actually okay. يعني لما حد يقول لك I'm bored, you can actually be more creative that way. So it's okay. So it's okay يعني to watch and monitor the phones as well. In order to make our kids resilient وstrong لازم يبقى عندهم connections كتيرة مع ناس كتيرة كويسة. ناس من الكنيسة خدام, أبونا of course, even teachers and counselors at school that you trust. The more connections, حتى البحث بيقول if there's even one consistent, strong, consistent relationship, you will find that kid to be much stronger يعني socially and psychologically and mentally. If they have coaches, وابونا الخدام and all of this, the more connections that are strong and real, the better. Help to teach them how to problem solve. مش again just to solve the problem for them. Teach them how to problem solve. What do you think about المشكلة دي? إزاي نحل المشكلة دي؟ طب أنت حاول تحلها وأنا هساعدك. That's how you help them to solve problems. Ask questions. Help them to label their emotions, like I said, and control your emotions, right? Understand what your emotions mean and control them. Understand their strengths and figure out meaning. مش كل مشكلة necessarily has a learning, a silver lining, I should say. بس ممكن من كل مشكلة نتعلم حاجة. Okay? مش كل حاجة is okay. يعني if I fall off my bike and my knee hurts and my knee's bleeding, that's not very good. That's going to hurt. ممكن نقول this hurts. But at the same time, what did I learn? I told my friend في the school a secret, something that about me, and they went and spread rumors. Okay? طبعا there's nothing good about that. That's a terrible thing. We can say it's terrible. But so what did I learn? I have to be more discerning of the friends that I choose and be very careful before I tell them something. I have to really, really trust somebody. Okay? So what did I learn? So those are important yani lessons that we can learn as well. We can help them to create goals. We can help them to use positive emotions. We can help them to have gratitude. That's really, really important as well. So 3 things to remember as parents, and then I will stop. What you do matters. Okay? It doesn't have to be perfect. We're not perfect all the time. That's okay. Again, what are we learning, Bardu? But so what we do matters. Being involved and asking questions and being present matters. Okay? We also, as parents, this is hard for us to do as parents, is to adapt my parenting to the child. Some kids get it like that very quickly. And some kids you have to tell them 100 times. If I have to tell this kid 100 times, but I'm trying to rush him, he's not going to learn anything. So I myself have to adapt and not treat every kid in the family the same. Every kid is different. And most important is to treat your child with respect. الاحترام is both ways. Okay? It is not just in هو لازم يحترمني ولازم يسمع كلام. That's true. بس أنت لازم تحترمه برضو. وتسمع هو بيقول إيه والمشاعر بتاعته and all of these things. If we don't have these things, that's the basic to start a good relationship and communication with our kids. My most fervent war room prayer for my strong-willed child is that the Lord will get a hold of his or her life and never let go. For as much as you love your child, God loves your child more. We have to take God inside. This says war room. And sometimes the battles feel like a war room. Take your child in with you inside that war room in prayer, and God will help you to solve the problem. And sometimes the battles are really, really fierce, and they see that. And it's okay. How do you handle the battle is how they're going to handle the battle. Finally, again, express gratitude. احنا الكنيسة طبعا بتقول صلاة الشكر in every occasion, right? بس حتى البحث دلوقتي بيقول إن الجراتيود بيغير في فكرنا من الحاجة الصعبة للحاجات اللي ماشية كويسة. اعرفوا ايه السترينثs بتاعتهم، ايه الحاجات اللي هم قويين فيها، تصلح الحاجات اللي مش قويين فيها. Slow down. As a family, we're always rushing. And I'm guilty of this too. We're always rushing. We have a million things to do, not enough time. But to slow down and enjoy each other. That's really important. Have good positive emotions. البحث بيقول لنا good emotions that are positive help us to problem solve, help us to change and build from the problem. Use the resilience skills that we're talking about and teach them to be kind to each other. Finally, there's these verses, but I love this picture that's here. This is in my office, my home office, because it shows you potential. And even if things are not going perfectly right now, this person is looking at an egg, but he's drawing a bird. He sees the potential. For always see the potential in your child, and you will see things grow and develop. Okay, so that's it. But so they told me to prepare some discussion questions, and then if you all have questions, we can ask those as well. Okay. So is everybody ready for discussion questions? I'm going to ask them in English. If somebody needs translation, please help me out with that. What is the most difficult thing to understand about your child, and what is the barrier that prevents you from understanding them better?
Is the discussion going to be here? Or is it going to be
Either way. You want it, we can move if you wish.
whatever's more conducive to the discussion? Are they going to break up?
Yeah, they can break up and just answer these four
Maybe we
questions.
should do it over there. Just go over the questions.
Okay, and then we'll move.
Then we'll break up into
Okay.
groups.
So Abuna says we're going to move to another place where you can break up and discuss. But let me ask the questions. Just keep them in mind. I should have printed them out. I should have done that. I thought the screen would be enough. But let me just think about these for a minute. I'll ask all four questions, and then Abuna says we can split up and have the discussions. So I'm going to say them in English. If you want to take pictures with your phone of the questions to keep them with you, you can. I have 4 on this slide and 1 on the next slide. Okay. What is the most difficult thing to understand about your child? And what is the barrier that prevents you from understanding them better? Number 2, what is the one thing you believe will be better about your relationship with your child if you can communicate it better, if you communicate in general better? Number 3, respect is becoming more challenging. But respect, as we said, is a two-way street between the parents and the child. So I have to respect them and they have to respect me. How can we grow or cultivate more respect within the entire family? The parents and the kids to the parents, extended family members to teachers to the church. How can we have more respect? And finally, how do we develop, well, there's 4 here and 1 on the next slide. How do we develop greater resilience as a family when we are faced with challenges? Because we will face challenges. Do we ignore it, the challenges? Do we tackle it together? Or does everybody kind of tackle it separately and then we just move on? That's another problem. Sometimes I see that. The kids tackle it separately, the parents tackle it separately. We don't talk about each other's feelings and then we just move on. Okay? And finally, a 5th question, emotional intelligence. This will lead us to the next talk. Emotional intelligence is important to develop in healthy relationships. What is this and how do we develop it better? The next talk will talk more about emotional intelligence. So I think Abuna said we can split up. I don't know where, if you want to stay here, if you want to move, I don't know. But if you took pictures, split up in groups where you have people that took a picture of the slides, because I don't have it printed out, and then we can talk about it. So my slides are work product. I don't usually give them away, but I can give an outline of what I talked about. Yeah, because they're usually work product. They're copywritten, so yeah, but I can give you an outline. All right. So if you want to take a picture of this slide, though, and the next one with the question, and then I guess we can split up. I don't know for how long. How long? Sure. They'll split up, and then we'll come back for another second talk, or yeah. This is the workshop. That's the questions, yeah, for the workshop. Yeah, but wherever. Yeah. That's good, and then we can discuss for 10 minutes, and then I can go into the second talk. Okay, good. All right, so discuss all 5 questions, and we will come back in half an hour? In half an hour. All right, so 12:45 or so, because it's about 12:10 right now. Yeah. can do that, or they can work on all four, whatever. That's a good idea. So we have 5 questions. I guess we can do 5 groups. Should we do that? And each group discuss what they discussed, or do you each want to discuss all 5? Yeah, we can do that too. Yeah, if you have time to discuss all 5, just presents just one. Yep. So we can do one group over here, 2 over here, 3, 4, 5. So just go like zigzag. Yeah. And that's good actually. Okay. Should we get started? There's some questions I will answer as well, but let's talk about these first. I don't know if we're starting or not. I think we're starting. Just so you know also, if you need to contact me outside of here, I can give you my card. I just have a few cards with me, but the best way to reach me is to, with your camera, scan this code, that barcode, QR code. It's a QR code. And it'll show up as you're trying to take it with your picture. It'll show a website. You can just click on that website. It'll take you to my website. You can contact me through the website, through my email. Here it is again, if that's a little bit easier. And the green one that's on the screen right now is directly to my WhatsApp, my business WhatsApp. So you can chat with me directly through my WhatsApp, or you can go to my website if you want to learn more about me. That's the code that's on the right. So the green one is WhatsApp, and the one on the right is to my website, and then my email address is on there as well as the website. If you want to just type it, you can do that as well. Okay? So you can email me, call me, text through WhatsApp. You can reach me any one of those ways. I'd be happy to discuss anything with you further if you don't get a chance to talk to me today. Or you can talk to me today. I'm happy to be here. All right, I'm going to go back to the questions. Give you another second to take those pictures if you need to. Be good. All right, let's go back to the questions. There will be more opportunities to connect. Like I said, if you need to, I'm happy to do that and to help any way I can. So let's start with the first question. Anybody can just jump in if you want to answer. I'll try to get through all 5 in the next 10, 15 minutes, and then we can go on to the second talk. So let's take about 10 minutes to answer some of these questions, see what your discussions are. And I'll also try to answer these questions. All right. What is the most difficult thing to understand about your child, and what is the barrier that prevents you from understanding them better? Anyone want to jump in? Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. I really, really like that. So he said that we have to kind of be patient before we answer, not immediately jump in and respond. Great answer, because sometimes we're shocked by the questions, and it's really good actually to wait, just like you're saying, and say, let me think about this for a minute. Let me do some research. Let me ask some people that might know. Let me focus on it a little bit more and formulate a better response. So not just jumping in with an answer. So patience was one of the things, and also he said that it's hard to understand emotions and feelings, and the best way to do that is to just simply ask. What are you feeling? Are you upset? And a lot of kids, especially the younger ones, if you even saw from my slide with the faces, we actually have with the kids, we sometimes will show them, if I can find it, literally with the small ones, we will even show them this picture that has the faces on it so they can kind of adapt and like, oh, I relate to this one or I relate to this one. If they don't know, you can even ask them about a show or a character that they relate to. Why do you relate to this character? Or a saint. Why do you relate to this saint? You might find that they will connect to something else better than expressing their own emotions, okay? So if you're watching your favorite show as a family together, or you have a favorite saint together, why do you relate to this person? And they can often explain it a lot better that way, okay? Great response. Anybody else want to tackle question 1 there before we move on to question 2? Anyone else? A barrier that you have in understanding your kids? Emotions is definitely a big one, yeah. Your own emotions. Great response. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Nobody listen.
Okay, so I think my own emotions at the situation itself or my own triggers make me feel I cannot understand you. I just need to relieve my own emotions.
Absolutely. Yeah, understanding your own emotions can be tough too, and that's why it's important to sit with it. Like people are uncomfortable with an emotion of some sort, and so they try to run or, okay, I'll just forget about it and go occupy myself with something else. But it's really important to just sit with that emotion and see as much as you can what it's trying to tell you, why you have that feeling, and what you can do about it to help it resolve, right? It will resolve if you sit with it and process it and deal with it. But if we push it aside, it comes back, okay? Usually it'll come back, sometimes even with physical symptoms, believe it or not, a headache, a stomach ache, something like that, okay? We've even seen clients with rashes sometimes because they haven't expressed what they're feeling. Good. Others? Okay. So second question, what is one thing that you believe will be better about your relationship with your child if you communicated better? Somewhere in the back. You're going to have to speak up really loudly so we can hear you.
Is the good way, in my opinion, to make a good relationship with my kids, to be friend and talk, as you said at beginning. This is in my opinion.
Have an open and honest conversation, and no matter what is said, it is okay. You will talk it out, right? And so I think that a lot of that fear and the trepidation that people have with having a conversation is this going to be accepted? Am I going to be accepted? Am I going to be understood? And with anyone who wants, everybody wants to be seen and understood. So, of course, have an open and honest conversation is really important. Anybody else? Or we can move on to question 3. Anybody else on question 2? Going once, going twice? Yeah.
I think we need to learn how to communicate based on their age development, because talking to a 20 years old different than talking to a 6 years old. So we have to adjust and learn. And I'm not sure how we learn as a parents, because it's important for us to get educated to know how to deal with it. You do it for a living. We don't do it.
Yes.
And men is very difficult to listen. And
Yeah.
this is women have to, they know how to deal with emotions more than men, but it's for men is always like Mr. Fix It. And we don't have patience to listen to the end.
Yeah.
So it's just a learning curve. What do you advise on how we educate the parents?
Yeah, so ask a lot of questions and listen more than speak to learn where they're at emotionally, mentally, emotionally. And even maturity level, because like you're saying, even a 20-year-old can sometimes act younger or act a lot older than their age. And we have to evolve as well, because yes, at 20, they're going to have more autonomy and more freedom and their own thoughts and their own ideas about things. Like you said, they're not 6 years old anymore, or even as they were when they were 15 or 12. Every year is different. And so meet them at their own maturity level, and kids are evolving constantly, and you're evolving as a parent constantly. So always be open to grow, read books, listen to podcasts on parenting, ask other people that have an idea on how to deal with a specific situation, because also every situation is different. Some situations are really serious, and you have to take time to consider the correct answer and the correct response. And other times it's just something simple, like, can I go to my friend's house today? And so take that situation for what it is, and look at all sides of it. And it doesn't always have to be serious every time. So take your kid to do something fun with them. Go out with your child and do something fun, or even stay at home and do something fun. It doesn't always have to be a heavy conversation about everything. Play a game with them, or take them out for, if they're 20, coffee, or, go have lunch together. And so that will lighten the conversation a little bit and make it a little bit more at ease to get at the different angles of it as well. Yep, great. All right, let's move on to the third one. Respect is becoming more challenging. I'm seeing this all the time clinically between the parents and the kids, but people really want to try. So respect is becoming more challenging, but it's a two-way street between the parents themselves, and then the parents and the children back to the parents. How can we cultivate more respect in the family? This is one of the most foundational aspects of a relationship. We talk about love a lot. We need to talk about respect as well, and seeing the other person and having respect for each other. So how do we cultivate more respect? You guys discussed in your groups?
Yeah, you need to not just say things, because the kids watch you every second you move. So you have to stand behind your words. So not just say things and do things differently.
Yep.
And also you need to trust them in a way where, like, Daddy, I could do this. So you have to trust them, and we'll watch them with kind of guidance, because without allowing them to make a mistake, it's very difficult to learn from it.
Yep.
And that's how, parents should basically teach them how to make the mistake and what we learn from the mistake. So a mistake can happen, you can't avoid it.
You're right, mistakes can happen, and I like exactly what you're saying about consistency. As we've been saying all this first talk, consistency is really key. You got to stand behind what you say. If you say it and you promise something, you absolutely have to follow through. If you can't follow through because circumstances may have changed, that's okay. Communicate it and say, I just can't follow through with this right now, or I really wanted to be able to do this, I'm now realizing that I can't. It's about open and honest conversation. Also about vulnerability, and vulnerability is tricky, right? Because when we're vulnerable, you expose yourself to another person, that can hurt. But vulnerability is exactly what you're saying, is building trust, that I trust this person, and that's why I'm being vulnerable with them. And I can be open with them, and I know that they won't hurt me with the things that I'm trying to say and trying to do. So that can also build respect. Yeah.
You do everything you have to do, but they still don't take it. They don't show respect as you respect them. So what do you think is the best action?
Yeah, so then there has to be consequences, because I'm showing you respect, I'm modeling respect, right? And if you don't respect me back, then you don't have access to me at this time. It doesn't mean that you're going to give them the silent treatment or abandon them. That is an extreme, right? But you're going to say just directly that you're being disrespectful, and I'm modeling respect to you. I'm showing you respect right now, and you are not respecting me back. So I'm going to choose to walk away from this conversation until you are able to respect me. If you need something, I'm still here. I haven't abandoned you. I haven't left you. I still love you. I still respect you. But I need respect back. I need you to talk to me in a respectful way. And if not, you withdraw from that situation. And that is supposed to model that this is, again, what's going to happen in the world, right? I one time worked in a place where literally, this was maybe 10, 15 years ago, and the person, my boss was talking to just one of the employees, and she just looked at him kind of like this. And he's like, you know what? Pack up your stuff and go home. You're not welcome here anymore. Just by a look. He literally fired her on the spot because she looked at him in a disrespectful way. So, unfortunately, that's what some people have more grace than that, and we should have grace. But yes, that's what they're going to learn in the future. If you're not respectful, there's going to be consequences. So explain it to them, but have grace at the same time.
Yeah, well, the consequences can be tough sometimes because they don't look at you like, I mean, first of all, they don't fear you anymore. They know that no matter what's going to happen,
you're still going to love me at the end of the day.
You're just going to love them no matter what. You're still going to have to do what you have to do. And sometimes you're taking things for granted and you say, you know what, that's your duty as a parent. You're going to have to do this.
Yep.
But, so now, if you really put a tough consequences and like punishments, then you can actually just move away from them and you break that trust. So now, where to put this balance?
Where do you draw the line?
Where you draw the line? And if you draw the line and you become stiff,
Yeah.
and if they have a good, strong personality, they might just walk away.
Yeah.
And you lose them forever. So, you know,
Yeah.
this is where the tricky part
Excuse
is.
me, sorry.
This is where really we don't know when to draw the line. How can we just work with that?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's the same thing, is that, sorry, one second. There has to be a balance, right? So you are informing them that you love them, that you do take care of them, you will continue to take care of them, but that you cannot tolerate being disrespected, because that's just common human decency. We have to learn to talk to each other. We have to learn to talk to somebody at the grocery store. I have to learn to talk to the person filling my gas tank in a respectful way. And so this is what this is modeling, right? And then again, you're going to meet other people that are going to love you throughout your life. Does that mean you can disrespect them too? Again, this is creating some sort of a balance, that this is a learning lesson. I'm not leaving you. I'm not abandoning you. I'm not even going to give you the silent treatment. But you have to speak to me in a respectful way if you want that back, to reciprocate it.
What if they don't want that back?
Yeah. So they're going to feel that eventually, though, because you're still their parent, and they still want that relationship, especially in that middle school age, maybe high school. They're going to push your buttons and test your limits, right? Because they want to see you react. And if you react in the wrong way, you just prove their point. So I'm going to be here. I'm not going anywhere. But I need to be respected. So don't go to the point of abandoning or silent treatment, because that's wrong, okay? But you do have to show that you have to be respected, that you're still the authority figure.
Okay.
Yep. Go ahead.
This actually happened to me today with my 6-year-old child. We were in an argument and he kept disrespecting, saying bad words, touching me and his dad. And I feel like as a parent, I'm also responsible to teach him how to regulate.
Yep.
And if I put boundaries and told him, you should not talk to me like this, please calm down and then we can have a conversation later on, then I'm not teaching him how to cope and regulate with this situation. So the balance is really hard.
Yes, it is really
I
hard.
want him to respect me, but at the same time, he's still young. He doesn't know how to calm himself. I give him, I tell him, breathe, you can color, you can do, no, it's in the middle of the argument, so he just wants to let it out.
Yeah. Thank you.
Letting it out with disrespect, of course.
Yeah, I agree. It is a hard balance, and younger, at 6, you know, they really can't maybe express themselves well. So you can always accept the emotion that they're feeling, but not the action that is going with it. Like, I can see that you're frustrated. Something is upsetting you. Something is making you sad. Something, whatever the emotion is. But I don't accept that that means that you can turn that on me or anybody else. We always have to, and if you're not acting kind, then they have to learn to come back to kind of say an apology or to say, I acted out of line. And again, that comes with age. At 6, it's a little young. But also help them, I think for both of you, to help them with the language of what they're feeling. So the emotion is okay, but not the action that goes along with it. If they get angry in the classroom and somebody frustrates them, that's okay. But if they take that and then throw something at somebody, the action is not acceptable, right? So talk about the emotion before it turns into an action of disrespect, of throwing, of hitting, of any of those things. Good. All right, let's do the fourth question, and then we can go to the next talk. How do we develop greater resilience as a family when we face challenges? And I see this a lot. People don't know how to deal with challenges. Some people ignore it. Some people just kind of brush it under the rug and pretend it's not there. Another thing that I see, again, that people do is that everybody will deal with it in their own way, and they won't talk about how they're dealing with it. So dad will deal with it one way, mom will deal with it another way, the kids will deal with it a third way by themselves, shut off in their room, and then nobody's communicating with each other. So how do we prevent that? How do we build resilience when there's a challenge? Because you will face challenges, I promise you. But we have to figure out how to deal with it.
I find it comparison is like going to a court. I've been avoiding jury duty for a long time. I just happened to have it last year. And lesson learned from it is to listen to all the facts before you make a decision.
Yep.
And only one person who is going to come up with an answer. So it doesn't have to be the dad or the mom. Based on situation, the right person need to approach that child. So, you know, I learned that we have to listen to all of it. And it could be that it doesn't have to be as a group. So I approach him one way, my wife approach him another way. We hear it from different angles.
Yep.
Husband and wife talk about it, then find out who's going to be given the verdict on how to deal with this.
Perfect example. I'm a big advocate for the family meeting. So that's a great example of looking at all the facts before you make a decision. A family meeting allows you to do that, right? Even if you have a family meeting a couple of times a month, you are still presenting all of the problems at the same time. It's different than family time when you go to the beach or you go to the mall or you go on vacation. That is just leisure time, right? This is not leisure time, this is business time. And so everybody presents their own issues, their own problems, what they're facing at school or work or the family problem. And just like you do at a meeting at work, you all get on the same page. And that's ultimately the goal, is that you hear all perspectives, like you're saying, as a jury does, and then come up with a verdict as a family. That's how you build unity within your family. And not everybody's going to win every time. You're going to get somebody that may be disappointed, somebody else, but this is what's best for the family at this time. And so this is the way that we're going to do it. And this is the way we're going to tackle this problem. That way little Johnny's not dealing with it by himself, and little Sherry by herself, and mom and dad by themselves. That causes fragmentation. The family meeting is a really good thing. Again, leisure time is separate, okay? Going out to the mall, going to a picnic, doing all those family things, that's fun leisure time. We're not bringing up business at this time, right? When you go to your company picnic, you don't talk business. You talk business at the meeting. This is the same idea, okay? Great example. Thank you for that. Yeah, please.
One thing I learned is we need to tell the kids we need to talk. It doesn't mean like it's a bad thing. We need to talk just as a talk, not just because you did something trouble.
Right.
This is teach them how, you know, the conversation can happen. You don't have to do something wrong or something good. You know, like, let's have a talk. For us, we're busy and we don't get that question asked.
Yep, air out whatever's going on and talk about it, discuss it, and then you can move on to the next thing. But if you don't talk about it, it's going to grow and fester. So talk about things as they happen. Great job. Anybody else there? Yeah. Yeah, so again, how do we not make them feel abandoned? You're discussing it beforehand. I'm not abandoning you. If you need something, I'm here. A silent treatment is punitive. Like somebody comes and tries to ask you a question and you don't respond. You just don't see them. They're not there, right? So that makes somebody feel invisible. And because I did something wrong, I'm going to make you feel invisible. I'm going to punish you. Silent treatment is never a good idea. I'm even seeing this in adults. They have a conflict with somebody and the person ghosts them. So they probably learned this when they were younger. I'm sorry? So when you answer, it escalates again. I really want to be here for you. I can see that you're struggling and that you're upset. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I want to help you with this problem, but I need to feel respect first. You're drawing a boundary, which is, this is what I need in order for me to hear what you're saying. Because if you're acting disrespectful and like just, you know, saying the mean things or pushing your buttons or picking on a weakness, all those are unkind activities. We can't act like that as humans. We have to have human decency of, I can have a conflict with you, but I still respect you. Do you see what I mean? Like I can have a completely different opinion from you. And like you were saying earlier with regulation, that's really important. I can have a conflict different than you. I can have an opinion different than you and still respect you as a human being. So that is the basis of any conversation, is respect. Not running away, not hiding, no silent treatment, no ghosting, none of that stuff. I'm here, but when you are ready to talk in a respectful tone with respectful words, we will work this out together. So I want it to be collaborative, but it has to be with these rules, which is respect. So I'm not disappearing. The disappearing is wrong, okay? So don't disappear, and even give them a date and time. I can give you until 8 p.m. tonight to think about your behavior, and at 8 p.m. tonight, we're gonna have a conversation. So that way you're actually giving them a time frame of when you will come back and talk about it. And that will help too. And then it'll be cooler and it won't be all that tension, and you'll be able to talk with them. I even tell that to couples. If you're feeling heated, give your partner a time and then go and have a conversation at that time. But both of you go your separate ways for an hour or two to calm down, and then come back at, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and have a conversation. So that works as well. Okay? All right, last question, and then we've got to move on to the next talk. Because this is a really good one with emotional intelligence. We'll talk about it in this next talk. Emotional intelligence is very important. I'm going to explain to you exactly what that is. It's a word that's being said a lot, so it's going to be really important to talk about what that means. How do we develop that to develop healthy relationships? How do we develop emotional intelligence? And if you don't know exactly what that word means, stay tuned. In 10 minutes, you'll know the answer. How do we develop more emotional intelligence? Anyone? Or should we wait to answer this after the next talk?
I think we men should be given like short answers, like yeah, I'm listening. That's given kind of eye contact. Hey, I'm listening to you, but I'm still not giving you advice. I'm still giving you attention. That even though I'm giving you the space, and women or boys different than girls. You know, some boys need to go to their cave and rebound back. Girls need to deal with emotion more than isolate. I find like girls need to talk about the problem. Men need to stay away, find an answer, and come back as a rubber band.
Okay. So yes, acknowledging that there are differences sometimes between men and women. I agree. Although emotional intelligence is a human trait that we should all learn about our own emotions and the emotions of others, which is a really good segue to the next discussion about how to have good communication within the family. Because again, yes, there's differences with people in general. There's about like 8.3 billion people in the world, and yes, everybody of those 8.3 billion is unique. But there are some universal things that are true for everybody. We all want to feel respected and loved and supported and seen, and all these are human things, not just, men versus women. So we're going to learn about emotional intelligence here in a few minutes and how to use that towards good communication. But any other thoughts? Yes. Right.
Much, it's going to be more feminine trait if you express that. So I think really it depends on the personality of the child or the teenager. And I feel like empathy, if we encourage empathy, it will help kids to learn more about the other people's emotion, understand the cues, talk about the features of the face, oh, how do you think this boy feeling now? I feel like this empower lots of emotional intelligence with the kids.
Completely agree. It's generally, like I said, a human trait that we should all develop. And we shouldn't have that stigma that, you know, boys don't feel or boys shouldn't express emotions. Unfortunately, that produces anger later on in life when they haven't regulated, like you've said before, when they haven't learned that this is an emotion, but it doesn't have to overpower me. It's giving me information. Let me figure out what that information is and use it to deal with this situation. But if I stuff it, I promise you it will come back out in some other way. It'll come out in your relationships. It'll come out in your health. It'll come out in your mental health. So understand what the emotions are and express them correctly. It will help you with so much in life. Okay? All right. I will answer these questions at the end so that we have time to go through the other talk. Again, here's my contact information, and that QR code will be on all the other slides as well. But let me just go to the other presentation if I can get through that. Alrighty. It's switching over. Oops. Let's try again. All right. So again, we want to have resilient communication. Resilience is kind of my area of specialty, which talks about how to bounce back from conflict. I don't really like the word bounce back. I like more that you're learning things and thriving despite the challenge. But resilience can also apply to our communication with our families, with our children, and how do we do that exactly? So a healthy family can have an environment of just positive, generally day-to-day interactions. It doesn't mean that every single day is positive. And although we cannot control all of the things that happen in our life, things that happen at work that are stressful, other kids at school, having a bad test, for example, at some point, or a teacher that doesn't understand me, all these are negative experiences. And I can't control the negative experience, but I can still control having a positive day-to-day interaction with my family members. We're going to talk about healthy communication, including the words that we choose, nonverbal cues. We heard that kind of in the last question and answer that was just said. Your body language has to match your words. And believe it or not, body language is a huge part of our communication. They can tell from your face if you're angry or just your tense body or something like that. So there's nonverbal cues. Emotions and emotional expression, listening skills are really important because these are the skills to have good communication, which will lead to good resilience, okay? Here are the needs of young people, believe it or not. Again, respect, ihtiram, right? They need adults that are consistent, stable, even when things are up and down. It doesn't mean that you have no emotions, right? Don't say that you're even-keeled and have no emotions. You have to have emotions, but you are consistent in your support and your love for them. You need adults that will believe in them, okay? They're going to struggle with self-esteem and with emotions and with feelings. So روحهم المعنوية ازاي نرفعها. Love them unconditionally, but that doesn't mean إن ما فيش boundaries. Again, there has to be boundaries. There has to be حدود of respect. And زي ما قلنا في last lecture, عندنا high expectations of how you're going to be. يعني عندكم respect, عندكم good grades, you're going to participate in your community, in your church. But at the same time, when there's a problem, we're going to solve it as a family. You're not by yourself. And this builds a healthy model of resilience in kids. All right, let's talk about emotional intelligence that we just talked about. في 4 حاجات في emotional intelligence, okay? And they have to go in this order, all right? So the first one is self-awareness. فلازم الواحد يبقى عنده عارف المشاعر بتاعته والإحساس بتاعه والfeelings بتاعه قبل ما think about the emotions of the others. If I don't know myself, it's going to be very hard to know others, okay? And what others may be feeling. For the first one is self-awareness. Recognize your own emotions, recognize your own triggers. Everybody has triggers, okay? Recognize where your buttons are, what's pushing those buttons. This is all part of self-awareness. Well, the only way to know this is to sit with it. You have to sit with it, okay? Again, we're usually rushing في المشاعر بتاعتنا, and that's not good. You have to sit with it. The second thing you have to do is to have self-regulation. مش أبقى too high أو مش أبقى completely numb. يعني مش complete برود and not complete agitation and being upset. All right? I have to self-regulate. It could be taking a deep breath. It could be let me go take a walk for a couple minutes. It could be في ناس بتحب تكتب, like in their journal, right? Calling a friend, calling Abuna to talk to. But you have to self-regulate, all right? Do not go into a conversation with your kids or even with your spouse when you're already agitated, all right? Just like you don't go to the grocery store when you're hungry, right? You're going to overdo it. So, or don't go to a restaurant when you're super hungry either. So you have to self-regulate first, and then you can go have a conversation. The next thing is empathy. Empathy means إني مش بس أعرف my مشاعر, أعرف المشاعر بتاعت اللي بتكلم معه, my spouse, my kids, my boss, my friends, whoever. And then there has to be social skills, basic social skills, basic like human decency, okay? Again, like, you know, don't hang up the phone on people, don't leave people, they don't know what happened to you in the middle of a conversation. All of these different things are important human decency, human skills, right? That we have to learn and we have to teach our kids. Okay? You can't, مثلا, when you're mad at your brother and sister, start shaking them. Or making fun of your brother and sister and say, I'm being playful. None of this is acceptable. Okay? Because this is going to be done outside and it's not basic human decency. So first, self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, understanding other people's emotions, and then social skills. Okay? There's في البحث بتاع resilience, which is again the ability to come back from a challenge or a difficulty, في 7 things that you can do to build resilience in your family and in your children. Okay? So let's go through each one. First one is something called competence. تعرف وتحس لما your son or daughter or your child or your partner or whoever is not feeling very good about themselves. And this happens to everybody from time to time. I'm not feeling very confident. I had a bad week at school. I couldn't answer any of my teacher's questions. I feel really bad about myself. Help them to recover from failure. Failure is 100% a guarantee. It will happen, okay? But if they take it as I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, and I'm مش شاطر, and I'm مش كويس, and I'm مش فاهم, they're going to continue in this mindset, okay? Give them the opportunity to grow حتى من المشكلة دي. Okay, you didn't do good في الامتحان ده, that's okay. ممكن تسأل your teacher about the questions that you got wrong and fix it with your teacher. I'll bring it home, I can help you to fix those responses. طب أنت you did حاجات كويسة last week. What happened last week that's not happening this week? إيه اللي حصل last week كنت عملت كويس في الامتحان? This week you didn't do good. So you build up من الstrength مش من الweakness. What are you good at? What do you like to do? And what do others say that you're good at? يعني مثلا you're very intelligent about building things or about putting things together. Or you're very good with your friends. Build from the strengths to fix the weaknesses. That's number 1. It goes along with confidence. Okay? So competence means I'm good at something. Notice what you're good at and increase that. With confidence, you're practicing again positive emotions and set goals and learn from your mistakes. So it's similar to the last one, but you're focusing again on your strengths. لما I focus on my strengths, يبقى عندي confidence. Confidence is not to the level of arrogance. Arrogance means, look at me, I'm so good at this, this, and this, and I'm better than so and so and so, even if it's just thinking, not doing. Confidence is, I know I'm good at this, let me push this a little bit more and learn more and more about it. Okay? Every one of us here has strengths. This has been proven by science. Okay? Use your strengths again to build your weakness. In fact, they found these 24 character strengths in everybody. Okay? بس كل واحد, whichever one in this is not the same as the next one. يعني we all have all 24, بس يمكن أنا my highest is creativity, maybe yours is zest, maybe yours is love, maybe yours is open-mindedness. And numbers are not in the same order for everybody, but everybody has all 24. Okay? And there's a way for us to figure out yani, which ones are your highest and things like that. Okay? Another way to help your kids is to, again, focus on their strengths and focus on positive emotions. The very cool thing is, in a lot of these positive emotions overlap with the fruits of the Spirit. You can see love, you can see joy in there, you can see gratitude, you can see all of these. I think there's one in here about perseverance, which is similar to long suffering. A lot of this overlaps. والresearch بيقول لنا إن الناس اللي بتستعمل positive emotions دي بتعرف تفكر في solutions للمشكلة بتاعتهم أكتر من الناس اللي مش بتستعمل positive emotions. فالناس اللي عندها رجاء مثلا بتعرف تطلع من المشكلة أحسن من الناس اللي ما عندهاش رجاء. At least that's what science tells us. So حتى fruits of the Spirit, طبعا Spirit بتدينا these gifts, and science says the same thing. Okay. The next one من 7 C's is connection. أهم حاجة نعرفهم إن هم مش لوحدهم. في حد وراهم، في حد بيساعدهم، في حد بيصلي لهم، في حد بيفكر فيهم، حتى هم في المدرسة بنفكر فيهم. They have to, and again, this is برضو في البحث, and even if you have one consistent person, you do better than somebody that doesn't have any consistent. Again, we've talked about this before, and it takes a village to raise a child. مين الvillage? الخدام, أبونا, their coaches, their teachers, into parents, aunts and uncles, cousins, people that they look up to. This is very important. بيخليهم يحسوا إن عندهم security إن أنا مش لوحدي. أنا معايا ناس ورايا وناس هتساعدني وناس can help me through my issues. All right? Another very important thing to build is character. Okay? Character is really important. I don't know how to translate character. شخصية, maybe that's personality, but it's the closest thing I can think of. Character is stronger than personality, I think. But it's the knowledge of إيه الصح من الغلط. فلما كل حاجة is let go, معليش, it doesn't build character. Okay? I can tell you a story about my own dad about character and integrity. My dad passed away when I was 13 years old. Okay? Many years ago. But he put a lot of good lessons into me from a very young age. And one of the characters, I was just telling somebody this story yesterday. He had a lot of integrity. This in the 80s, he used to work as an accountant, a CPA, for the Defense Department, the United States Defense Department. And he would bring home with him work from work, okay? And it had paper clips because computers were not as readily available in the 80s. And as he's taking the work back to work, he would count the paper clips to make sure he had the right amount of paper clips that he brought from work and taking it back. Something as small as a paper clip. How much is a paper clip? Less than a cent. But he had character and integrity. I brought 10 paper clips. I'm going to take back 10 paper clips. And these are the kinds of lessons that I grew up with. A person who was full of integrity, what's right from wrong, even in the small details like a paper clip, which is not a big deal. Person of character helps others, supports others, is always kind in their language, kind in their speech, kind in their value system, but knowing what they stand for. What is their values, and they stay grounded in their values. We just had the 21 martyrs a couple days ago, right? They were very strong in their integrity. They didn't waver. They didn't waver in their potential torture and hunger and being separated from their families. They had strong integrity. So build your children's character. That's really, really important. Another one is about contribution, kind of like character. بس ايه هدي للعالم. What are my talents that I can use to help others, that I can build in the world that I live in? What can I contribute to the world? What can I contribute to others? How can I help others? This is really important for resilience as well. Then it's not just about me, but it's about using my God-given talents to help other people to grow and in that regard. The next one is about coping. And again, everybody's going to encounter problems. And one of the most important verses that we can teach them when we encounter problems, all things will work together for good. We believe that God is in control of everything, and we can problem solve through this. Now, that doesn't mean not to acknowledge their pain, or their hurt, or their challenges, or their difficulties. You have to acknowledge it before you can move on. Resilience is not about ignoring any of there's problems. Resilience is about acknowledging there's a problem, and I can still thrive anyway. Okay, I can still grow from it anyway. It's also important to know, and sometimes this is really, really important, there's no quick fixes. Okay? يعني مش بسرعة, let me fix the solution and move forward. Sometimes it can be, but look at some of the examples from the Bible. How long did Joseph suffer in prison before it got resolved? And it got resolved really, really well, right? So we have to have, again, patience and wait and pray and act and do all of these things. You can survive through it and all of those things. The next one is control. Stay away from unwise choices. Again, self-control is really important. Again, as Siyam is coming in a couple of days, not to remind you, but to remind you, choose wise relationships. Don't choose the easy path all the time. It's okay. In doing that, believe it or not, you stretch. Every time there's a problem, and I sit and problem solve and think about it, I stretch, right? How do you grow a muscle? You go to the gym, you work very hard, you eat the right foods. It's about self-control. And then you grow stronger. You don't go stronger just by doing the easy thing. So making wise choices, having self-control, having good habits, all of that stuff is important. So the next one after that, those are the 7. The 8th one that we've been talking about is communication. And again, what is communication? The words we choose, nonverbal cues, emotional expression, listening skills are all part. How do we build communication? We have communication now more than ever. How many apps are out there for communication? WhatsApp and Viber and texting and direct messages and email, and we have more communication than ever, and yet people are not communicating, okay? And so there's an art to communication. Consider their age. Again, their brain is still developing. Take a break. You don't have to solve everything right then and there. Don't be aggressive. Have empathy. Have regular family meetings. It's actually on there. It's very important to have empathy, to understand them, even though they're young and they're small, and they don't have the same problems as you, but they still have problems sometimes that we have to solve. Also promote freedom and independence so that they can grow, but with guidance. You're not completely leaving them, you're guiding them. And teach them to resolve conflict. Okay? Again, don't run away from it, don't hide from it, don't give them the silent treatment. Don't ignore them. All those things are not good things, and I even see them, like I said, as behaviors in adults with each other. They don't know how to solve conflict. Conflict comes from sometimes a debate. It can be a healthy debate. This is my opinion, this is your opinion, I don't agree, you don't agree, we don't see eye to eye, where can we meet in the middle? So that's important too, okay? And that's kind of the art of communication there. Again, consider their age. Up until 25, there's a lot developing in their brain. But there's a skill that's important that is about active listening. And so we heard a couple times that sometimes the guys need help with active listening. This is the slide for you. First of all, you have to concentrate. Make eye contact. Listen to their words. This is going to take practice. So don't get frustrated if you don't know how to do this immediately. Concentrate. Make eye contact. Okay, first of all, that's a show of respect. Repeat what they said. This is a tool we use even in therapy. So I hear you saying X, Y, and Z. So when your friend did that, it sounds like you were really frustrated. I'm repeating back to you what you said to make sure that I got it right and to make sure that I heard you correctly and to make sure that's actually what you felt. And sometimes, even as a person who sees people in therapy all the time, they'll say, no, that's not quite right. I actually mean this. And don't get offended when they correct you. It's okay. You're trying to understand them empathetically. Always understand before you respond. That's a big part of active listening. Understand, نفهم قبل ما نرد عليهم. Encourage them with nonverbal cues, nod or I see what you're saying, those kinds of things that encourages people. And respond also with understanding. Yani, that must have been really difficult. That must have been really hard. That's all part of active listening. Remember what's being communicated. Your ultimate goal is love and understanding. It's not about fight and a contention. Truly, it's about understanding. So if you shut down, if you walk away, that's not understanding. That just taught them they're not going to listen to me. Okay? These things are so important to be seen, to be heard, to be understood, and without fear that I can always go to my partner or my kids. My kids can come to me, and there's no fear. They're not going to shut the door on me or not try to understand me. Okay? So this is very crucial for resilience as well. Again, we talked about assertiveness already, so I won't discuss that too much. But again, be respectful and firm. That is basically assertiveness. It's not aggressive. It's not passive and just being a doormat either. It's really important to find the right time and place. This is something simple, but people miss this. Okay? How many people, their entire family meets them at the door with all the day's problem as soon as you walk in? Does that ever happen to anybody? All of the day's problem, just opening the key in the door, you walk in, there's a world of problems bombarding you as soon as you walk in. Not the right time, okay? So say, hello, mom and dad, or whatever. I had a couple things happen to me at school today. I need to discuss it. When can we have a talk? Okay, and you can say, just give me, I don't know, an hour, let me take a shower, wash my face, I can meet with you then, okay? So don't bombard somebody as soon as they're walking in the door. Right place, right time needs to be there as well. Not when they're hungry and tired, not when somebody's already not calm or not focused. Avoid public places is tricky. Sometimes it's good because you can go have coffee with somebody at Starbucks or Panera and have a conversation. But if it's going to get heated, don't choose a public place, okay? Just to be respectful. Avoid times of high stress. Don't go to your kids before finals week and have a massive conversation with them either. Respect their time as well. Taking a break is important. Take a break, cool off, and then come back and continue the conversation. Have regular family meetings. I already talked about this. Focus on the problem. This is a hard one, right? You start talking about one thing and you pull things from 15 years ago into the situation. Focus on the problem. Solve this one and then go to a different one, okay? That can be challenging. Identifying the problem and then moving on from there. Another one is to empathize with the people with you. Emphasize connection, okay? Again, that eye contact is really important. Obviously, if it's your family, you can maybe put your hand on their shoulder or just assure them that you're there with them and that you love them. That's really important as well. Also, give them their freedom to think about things and make their own decisions. The most important thing I can tell you about resilience, again, is that it doesn't mean that there's no difficulty. It means that you are consciously choosing to experience everything and to not be consumed by whatever that is and to thrive anyway. And as I said before, sometimes we can't control the situation, so I have to control how I think about it. أغير في تفكيري شوية شوية عشان أعرف أحل المشكلة اللي أنا فيها. Okay? So again, to be resilient, we need a couple of things. Most important, shukr. Okay, kids these days, and adults too, believe it or not, they don't express a lot of gratitude. But research tells us that gratitude, making it a purposeful habit to have gratitude, I'm thankful for this, 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 and this, actually creates a situation where you shift your thinking from all the things that are going wrong to what is going right. Know your strengths, slow down as a family and enjoy things together. Use those 10 positive emotions and the fruits of the Spirit. Know your own story of resilience and how you can use it, and be kind above all. And again, with that picture that I showed you before, things take time. Be patient and let things cultivate and grow. Know your kids' potential, build their character. Be patient, it will happen. They will grow, okay? So this is a painting from all the way back in 1936 from Belgium. One of my favorite examples of resilience, to look at something and see beyond what you look right at and look at the potential of those kids and what they're going to be. And you yourself, where you're going to be in a few years. Alrighty. Now we can have some more discussion or ask questions. Again, here's my contact information if you need it. Happy to answer the questions here or answer questions out in the audience. We can start with the questions in the audience while I read these. Any questions in the audience?
How can I validate someone's experience and acknowledge their feelings if I myself feel like it's against my own beliefs or like I don't agree with what you're saying? It's too hard to do this. How can I do this?
Yeah, so validate them as a human, that they're having emotions, that they're having feelings about this. You don't have to agree with everyone's opinion about something or what they're doing. You don't have to agree with everyone. But you can find something that you can connect to. I can understand that you're having a hard time about this. This is a challenge for you. It doesn't, it's not my values, but I'm still loving you and caring about you and respecting you, at least in that regard. Again, human to human. But do you accept everything that everybody does? No, not necessarily. Good question.
Recommend any book for active listening, because we all fall behind with this, and it's a technique that we have to learn.
Yeah, I'll have to think on some things for you. Let me think on that, and I can email the fathers or send you a list or something, yeah. But good question, yeah. It starts with body language, believe it or not, just making eye contact and trying to understand the person in front of you, and asking questions to learn more. Yep. But I can look some resources up for you. Others? All the way in the back. Hold on, they'll bring you the microphone so we can hear you.
Thank you. Okay, so this is something that my 7-year-old has been saying a lot in arguments, is you don't love me. So I just wanted to know how you can respond, like what is the best way to respond or not respond to them saying, you don't love me, you don't care.
So try to get an understanding first of all, because your first response is going to be shock. Of course I love you, and you're going to be hurt, and probably respond from that place of hurt or shock. If they're 7, and even if they're older, they may not be able to express themselves correctly. So say, what do you mean by that? Can you explain that more to me? How do you feel that I don't love you? So they can tell you from their perspective. Usually it means you're not agreeing with me on something that I want to do, but you think that I shouldn't do it, okay? So if I tell you to clean your room, and that's the right responsible parenting thing to do, but I don't like to clean my room, you're making me do something I don't want to do, so therefore you must not love me. So you have to separate the emotion of you have to be responsible and organize your space, and this is a good trait for even adulthood, from my love for you, okay? Love has other meanings, sacrifice, and just a warm feeling between parent and child. But they're going to translate that as, you're making me do what I don't want, that means you don't love me. So have them even verbalize for themselves what they mean. And again, don't take it personally or be shocked, because you're going to respond from that place. as opposed to just saying, what does that mean? And this is why I'm telling you to do X, Y, and Z. Separate the two things from each other. Good question. All right, I'm going to answer one of these and then we'll go back to the audience. How do I let my son be confident? Like basically teach them how to be confident, to trust in himself and see that he's a good person. Excuse me. It doesn't say the age on here, but especially when they're young, again, we want to build that self-confidence, using the strengths that they have to build the weaknesses that they think that they have. And also, you're looking at the balance between what other people say you're good at, maybe your teachers see something that you're really good at, and what you're interested in, and then maybe what your parents see. Somewhere in the middle of that is what you're actually good at, like it's factual, that's what you're good at. So point to those facts, and again, there are facts that everybody has strengths. That's what research tells us. And so to point to those strengths and what they're good at will fix what they think is a weakness. What I often see happening is that somebody will have a weakness in one area and they will paint everything in their life with that paintbrush. So let's say they're bad at math, okay? I don't like to even use the word bad, but let's say math is not their strong point, all right? I'm terrible at everything. I'm not good in school. No, you just need some extra help with math. Everybody needs help with a subject or two here and there throughout the course of their education, and that's okay. So that's what you're going to pinpoint. You're just feeling that because you have this. Or maybe your strength is in a different area, right? I don't have it here, but there's 8 areas of intelligence. It's just not just math and science. There's emotional intelligence and there's movement intelligence. Some people are good at sports, okay? So find out which one of those intelligences they're good at. And if you want to talk to me more about it after, I can kind of point you to some resources there. But again, there's 7 to 8 kinds of intelligence. You can at least focus on one of those to help that kid move forward in that area. Same thing with this one, learning to trust themselves. The more that they try, and even if they fail and they learn from that failure, you're going to start to trust yourself a little bit more. So failure is not a bad thing. It's what did I learn from the failure that's more important, okay? So the more that you do that and you learn, you grow, you start to trust yourself a little bit more, okay? Okay, this question. My daughter is in 2nd grade, and she has a friend, a female friend, and all times this girl fights with her, even if my daughter is not talking with her, and gave her an attitude and scream in her face. The daughter tries to do the same things with her and tries to defend herself. What should I do with her in the correct way? So explain why this girl's behavior is not the best way to handle the situation. Again, that people should respect her at school or whatever. And it's okay to go to the teacher and say, this person's not being respectful, they're screaming. You don't have to be friends with somebody that is disrespecting you. You can pray for them from afar or whatever. But you don't have to be friends with somebody that is treating you in this way. And she can be assertive. Again, we talked about assertiveness today. She can be assertive with her and say, I don't want to be treated this way. Please talk to me in a calm tone or a quiet tone, and see if she responds. If she doesn't respond, the next thing is to go to the teacher. The teacher doesn't do anything, the next thing is to separate yourself from this person. You don't have to take other people's bad behavior as if it's okay. Okay? Any other questions from the audience? I think these were the only 3 written ones, but if there's other questions from the audience, I'm happy to take them. Yeah. Microphone.
How we like right now they taking a class upstairs to learning about purity and all of this, and as you said in the beginning, like some topic is really strong to express it with them, like the sexuality, purity, and divorce and all of this.
Yeah.
I know, like for my son, he will gonna be in silent for a couple days, absorb everything till he feel confident to talk, and I will gonna have a ton of question after that. How I deal with all this question from our culture and all our this stuff.
How old, first of all?
He will be 11.
How old?
11.
11? Okay, so middle school, this is when they're definitely going to approach this topic, probably in health class. Definitely by that age. Some ages they start as young as 5th grade. So be prepared for the questions starting 5th grade, sometimes even younger. They do drug and alcohol programs in 5th grade. They teach sexuality in school, like 6th, 7th grade. But they're talking about it from more the biological perspective, at least. And so it's important, again, to talk from your values about why. First of all, ask them what they know and what they've learned so you get an idea of where they are mentally. But don't be afraid of the questions. Even if it's uncomfortable, it is better that it's coming from you than it comes from their friends or TV or their phones or whatever. So make sure you're approaching it from your values about, respecting ourselves, respecting God, respecting the temple of God, which is our body, and why it's important to be pure. Even the verse that talks about to protect your heart because from it comes the wellspring of life. It's a verse in Proverbs, I believe Proverbs 4, that when we give our heart away easily, that will injure us, that can injure us. And our opinions and things change as we get older. You may not like the same things at 25 as you did at 11 or 12. So to keep yourself pure for those reasons as well, more practical reasons, but also the spiritual side of keeping ourselves pure as a temple of God and those kinds of things. So first and foremost, know where they're at. Where are your questions? What have you learned? What have you heard? What is important for you? What are your values? Hear all of it first, and then gently give your opinion, from a perspective of a mom that cares and wanting them to have the best that they can have, and this is the way to do it. The rules that are in the Bible are there to protect us. They're not meant to deprive us of anything. They're put there to protect us. So that's the message that you want to give. It's not a book that is meant to be punitive with every rule, and if we don't follow every rule, we're going to, no, it's not meant to deprive you. It's meant to give you the best life that you can have and protect you in a way. Like you tell your kids not to touch the stove or put a fence around your pool. You're not depriving them from the pool. You want to protect them from drowning, right? So that's the kind of perspective that you need to have. Yeah. They have to use these tools and things responsibly, basically. Other questions? All right. Well, if you don't have any other questions now, again, you can always reach me here. Happy to respond to things or have more conversations beyond today whenever you need it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming, and thank you, Dr. Christine, so much.
Thank you. My pleasure. Happy to help.
Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for coming and attending and sharing your questions as well. I think we're ready to pray. We're going to stand up to pray so we can head out for the children as they finish. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, amen. Heavenly Lord, we ask you to prepare us for Lent. We ask you, Lord, to dwell in our homes, to grant us wisdom, discernment, and understanding. Through intercession of Saint Mary, Prince Theodore, and all your saints, hear us when we say together, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation. Christ Jesus our Lord, for thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the love of God the Father, grace of only begotten Son, Jesus Christ our Lord, the gift and the communion of the Holy Spirit be with you all. Depart in peace. The peace of the Lord be with you.